fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration, the Sunday edition. I'm going to have the Wolf on, James Henry. We're going to give a little recap of last week, a fantastic week. And so we came out of that energized. But first off, I've got a very special guest, the most special guest I've had on since my 5 years of doing this. And it's my beautiful wife, Tracy. She just wanted to talk a little bit about how much she loves y'all. And this is what was so cool. Last week, her birthday was Friday. And we would be walking down the street, and you'd hear people as we were walking down the street, "Happy birthday, Tracy," or "Happy birthday, Miss Walton." And y'all made her feel so special. I cannot thank y'all enough. She tries to go with me wherever she can so that she can meet y'all and love on y'all. But she wanted to talk to y'all just for a second about how special y'all have made her feel. So beautiful.
Hey guys, he actually just took a lot of what I wanted to say away from me by saying it for me. But I really did just want to say thank you for everything last week. Not just the love and support you showed me. I got so many hugs, so many well wishes, so many handshakes. I got a lot of pictures taken with me, a lot of happy birthdays. But I also just want to say thank you for how much love you show Corey and James and everyone else on the CLC. Listen, I've seen a lot, right? All the travels that I've done and all the places we've been together. And the one thing I can tell you guys as a promise, if you don't already know this, I just want you guys to know that these guys are true. What they say they mean. They love you guys. They're honest people, and they're going to fight as hard as they can fight for you. So continue to give them the love that you've been showing me, and give it all to them, okay, guys? I just want to say thank you. Bye.
And that was the most special guest I've had. Thank you, beautiful. But she just wanted to get on and talk to y'all a little bit because everywhere we go, y'all show her love. And I cannot thank you enough. That means more to her than she can say in these just few seconds. But anyway, what we're going to do things a little bit differently until the election, okay? Every Sunday, I'm going to have members of the slate on so that they can talk to you. If it's NBAs, what states they cover, that's very important. And what's their plan? What's their plan for when they take over? All right. Table 2 carriers. We have 3 on our slate. No other slate has any, which is disappointing to me because I think that everybody should have a seat at the table. And table 2 is a necessity. And James made sure that when he talked with these carriers and branch presidents that wanted to be on the slate, that first off, they had the experience necessary because we can teach a lot, just like educating on here. We can get through that. But also that you have a seat at the table because they're constantly, when we're on Zooms or whatever, you have the voice of Table 2 in those meetings. And that is critical. And so it was critical for James to have that voice in our executive council. But there's 3 of them. They'll be on next Sunday, all right? And then whoever comes on will come on. And then every Monday, I'm going to go back to education only, kind of go back to my roots, all right? So many people came up this past week, more than I could count, and telling me thanks for the podcast, JB and everybody else who's been on there that's made this possible, for helping their branch because they were a smaller branch. They didn't get education, exactly why this podcast was started. And so that meant more to me than anything else. Because that was what this was for. For 5 years, every week, I've been talking to you, trying to help in whatever way I can, okay? Some people hate that. Some people appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to do that until I retire. However many years that is, I'll continue to do that until I retire. But just until the election, every Sunday we're going to have members of the slate on. And then every Monday, I'm going to go back to the roots. We're going to get back to education, okay? And so that's what we're going to do. But right now, we're going to have the Wolf, James Henry, on. We're going to give a little recap, okay? And what to expect from us. And what I want those that are supporters to do and not do, all right? And so we'll get into that at length, okay? But I love you. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'll do another episode tomorrow, so that will probably come out late tomorrow night. But it's going to be education. I've got some things that people have sent me And we'll keep doing it like that, okay, until after the election. And then it will be back to every Monday or every Sunday. We'll go back to every Sunday after the election because James and I won't be traveling. So we'll go back to every Sunday. And then when we take over, every Tuesday, that's the plan as of right now. But it'll happen. Tuesday's the day I pick out. Things may change that day. But one day a week, I will have a live Zoom, nationwide Zoom. Whoever wants to get on there, hear exactly what we've been doing and who we've been talking to, plans that we're looking at, if it's route adjustment processes, if those are discussions that are going on. Carriers want transparency, and that's what they're going to get with us. It's never been done before in the history of the NELC, and it's as simple as plugging up something and doing a Zoom. And so we're going to do that. Y'all want transparency, you're going to get it. And so, like I said, I'll have different members of the executive council come on and talk to y'all and tell y'all what they've been doing. We work for you. Your dues money is what's paying us. And so we're going to change the culture of the NELC, okay? A lot of people are mad at me. They have come out full force against me. It's social media is ablaze, son, but I don't care about any of that. I mean, that's your opinion. If you don't like me, you're not going to vote for me. If you do, you will. But I am who I am. I'm anti-establishment. I do not like the way things have been going with my union. And as a carrier myself of 34 years, I'll be carrying tomorrow. As a carrier of 34 years, I've paid a lot of dues money. And so, and James and I will start talking about some rumors and things that have kind of made us laugh the last couple of days. Because I'm telling you, man, as soon as the bell rang at the end of the convention, it was Katie bar the door, man. They came after us, and they've been waiting. And we kind of knew that was going to happen, but we'll talk about that. But it was something to behold, man. And but I'll be public enemy number one because they fault me for all of this, and they think that it's because of me that they've lost their country club lifestyle. It's not because of me. The carriers have woken up, and they're not satisfied, and they're not happy, and that will be shown in this next vote. I'm not to blame for anything. I'm educating, and I didn't feel like my union was protecting me, so I voiced my opinion. But they will continue to come after me. That's okay. That's all right. I'm not concerned about it. Y'all shouldn't be either. But James and I will talk about that. But anyway, I love you very much. I love you like blue, and we cannot wait to take over and change the culture of the NELC and change the workroom floor. Okay? We're going to address the workroom floor like never before. We're going to educate it. That's a priority. And we're going after the toxic working environment. That's a priority. And those things will be handled. Okay? But here he is. Here's the Wolf and I. Kind of a week recap. And I love you. And I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. We'll do some education. Back to the roots. All right? Bye. All right. I got the main man, the next president of the NELC, Mr. James Henry. What's up, my brother?
What's up, brother? To the next executive vice president of the NELC.
Have you recovered yet from the convention? I tell you, this is Sunday. I have slept almost all day.
Man, I need to do so. No, I have not fully recovered as of yet, as you know. Born and raised down here in the LA area, man. So my family's here, so I get an opportunity to help and see my ailing mom, and I'm just really grateful for that. So that gives me some extra adrenaline and juice to be able to assist her in any way I can. But I tell you, man, it was great having you in my town, and it was great having the letter carriers as a whole overall in my town. And it looks like everyone was enjoying themselves for a various reason. But it was a really, really exhilarating past week. Even as exhausting as it was motivating to the 10th power, brother.
Yeah, and it was exhausting. Like you said, it was from morning till late night.
Absolutely.
Full. I mean, the convention itself, I know that we had the live Zoom set up. We were going to do that every day. That lasted 2 days. Because it was like it kept getting pushed back till 6 o'clock, Then you had a function you had to do after that. But Monday and Tuesday, the live Zooms were fantastic. It was packed in there when we were doing that, the Cremate Arbitration live Zooms. I was going to do an episode every night. We didn't get back into the room about 11 every single
Absolutely,
night. It
man.
was
And
it was nonstop.
it was nonstop, and it was a waiting list for
Yeah,
people to come watch the live from Ada Arbitration
yeah,
podcast down there in Los Angeles. And I want to give a huge, huge shout out to every single letter carrier and or their family members that came to the CLC headquarters office to be able to meet and greet with all the CLC candidates and to participate and watch the live Zoom or the live from Ada Arbitration broadcast that was on Facebook Live and YouTube. So it was just fantastic. And they can go back and still see it on YouTube
yeah,
if they wanted to. But it was just fantastic. The letter carriers that were there were so engaged. And like I said, the house was packed out every time that we did it those 2 nights.
yeah, yeah. And they were, got to a point where they couldn't let people in because of, the people said there's only a certain amount of people that could come in. But there was just so much energy with that. You had Wednesday, you had the blackout. That was awesome to see. And I know from up there on the stage, you could see it fully, just people walking around. That was probably the most exciting time for me was nominations, seeing
Right.
everybody show up and show out. Matter of fact, the guy who was selling our gear, he brought, I think he said 6 or 7 duffel bags, like those
Right.
big athletic duffel bags of gear, sold that out. And so it was a great week, man. It was an energizing week. We've been everywhere. We've been all over the country, back and forth 50 times, and that's tiresome. But you came out of there with a new energy, because you're just like, this is really happening. It's fixing to happen.
Absolutely, man. And it is something else when we put out the call for people to rep in their CLC gear. So we're going to have blackout uh, day on Wednesday, nomination day. They did that to the maximum extent possible. All you saw, anywhere you look, I should say, there was not hardly a section that did not have discernible CLC gear on,
Yeah,
whether it was the hat, shirt, a hoodie, or whatever the case may be. And so we're grateful for the support in that regard. And we have to give a shout out to my man that does make our gear, John Forrest, that made that all possible for us.
yeah,
So we want to thank him, but also thank the letter carriers for being willing to spend your hard-earned money and get the gear and show your pride, even amongst some naysayers,
yeah,
people every single day. And I have to also say, before I forget, to every one of our people on our slate and every single organizer, despite how long those days have been, despite the temptation to go out to Disneyland and go to Santa Monica Beach and Venice Beach and go check out Beverly Hills and Hollywood and get some good food without fail every single day from Sunday to Friday, our organizers showed up early in the morning, 6:30, 7 o'clock, without fail each morning, passing out our literature and um, convincing people that this is a slate worthy of their consideration and their vote. And so, to our organizers, I am exceedingly, and our slate as a whole, exceedingly proud of the efforts that you put out. And I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And we're going to definitely bring it home. And I'm sure you feel the same way, Corey.
oh, absolutely. And here's the thing, James, by Wednesday, everybody could tell this convention is different because they're usually establishment heavy. I mean, that's just how it is. You got the business agents sitting in each section, the delegates. By Wednesday, you had people like retired national officers coming to me, coming to you, coming us together and saying, y'all are definitely carrying the momentum this week. And it's
Right.
something they've never seen before. We've had retired national officers coming up to me saying, hey, when y'all get in, reach out to me. I'll help you with whatever you need. And that's really how it should be anyway. I'll
Absolutely.
help you however I can. Ex business agents, former business agents finding me back there in our section, kind of saying, hey, y'all carrying the momentum this week. If there's anything that you need from me when y'all get in, let me know. That's union to me. They may
Yes.
not have agreed with us, may not agree with me, but they're like, hey, it's obvious what's fixing to happen. Let us know what you need and we'll be there for you. It wasn't, hey, put me on a position, it was, let me know what you need. I'll be there for you. Some very prominent individuals. And you know who I'm talking about.
No, absolutely. And what you're saying is facts. And I feel the same way. Like I said, we will not cut off our nose to spite our face. If we have someone that is willing to lend a hand and moving this union forward and making sure that responsible leadership is at hand and that we are effective in doing what it is that we are attempting to do, and they can play a part in assisting in that, we are all game for that. Because no matter what, no matter what, the way it's supposed to be is that who's at stake is the letter carriers, and that's who
Yes,
we should be always keeping front and center in our mind as to what this is all about. It is about the improvement of the lives of letter carriers. And if someone is down with that mission, truly, then we're definitely receptive to that.
yes. And I know that a lot of those people up there have a lot of disdain for me. I know that, because I talked a little bit about this before you and I started. They fought me for this. I think that's silly, but the letter carriers have woken up and they fought me for what's happening. They say that I'm the one that's divisive, and I'm divisive because I held them to another standard. I got to hold you to a higher standard if you're in that position. And for that, I was divisive. Um, I believe that anybody, James, and this is just me, anybody who intentionally violates the Constitution should not be allowed to run. That's what I feel because it's the only protection as a city letter carrier myself. It's the only protection I have from them, the agent. And if you intentionally violate the Constitution, I don't believe you should be allowed to run for a position. I know that I would not have anybody on my slate that violated the Constitution that said, I'm not going to, because when you do that, you have said, I'm going to put the establishment over the city letter carrier. And that's not what this movement is about. This movement is 100%, like you just said, about the city letter carrier. It's not about the establishment, the status quo. And so for that, I was divisive.
And brother, let me
I,
tell you something.
yeah,
And far as I'm concerned, a lot of that is just false outrage when people say that you're divisive, that the CLC has been divisive. Look, who is more at fault? Is it the person that's committing the offense or those that are pointing out what's unfair? It is not divisive to say, hey, we should be looking for full colas for letter carriers at every step. And if you have someone that's currently in a position to fight for that and they fail to do so, then calling that out is not being divisive. You should be saying that this is what needs to happen. So it appears to me that you have faction of folks, a fraction of folks that are more offended by someone having the unmitigated gall to say that something is wrong and calling it out than those that are actually committing the offense. But it
yeah,
does not matter because what we have done for the last 2 years, say you and I and other members on the CLC, but particularly you and I have traveled this country extensively for the last 2+ years. And our story of reform, our belief that letter carriers have not been given the due justice and that we need to put up a bigger fight for what it is that we believe in. We've been doing that. We've been doing it consistently. And what has happened incidentally or by consequence of the failures, as you point out a lot of times, not it's not said for the purposes of to demean somebody, but pointing out the failures of what has transpired over the period of time. And as such, you have made a difference. We as the CLC have now made the difference, which was evident at the convention, that the rank and file, brother, is motivated, that the rank and file has now been activated, that it has been mobilized. When the rank and file has been mobilized. And this is something that, as to use the term, it's an establishment, it was not lost on them as well. They saw it as well. And so we are praying, continuously praying, and that every single letter carrier, whether active or retired, whether CCA or career, whether table 1 or table 2, understand this one basic fact that we genuinely care for you. We genuinely care for you. Like I said, we're not perfect, but we have perfect hearts. We intend to do right by you. And that is what's going by God, what's going to happen. And so it is not lost on the other side that the rank and file has been activated. And it was no more evident than when you had thousands of representatives, delegates standing in line for up to hours to cast a vote for some AFL-CIO delegates. They stood in line to do so, and everybody didn't get a chance to. To go ahead and cast their votes because some had to catch buses, the bus lines that was going on beyond the scheduled bus, and then some of them just got exhausted in there. But it's not a situation about whether or not the AFL-CIO delegates that the CLC had put up to run, that unfortunately, that they didn't get the necessary votes for an array of reasons. However, what is important to note is that the rank and file was there and was attempting to do so. And I'm fully confident had every vote been able to get cast, then it would have been a different outcome. Perhaps it would have been a mixed bag, or perhaps he could have said, man, that's the way it is, or could have been the other way with us. But what's most important is that our letter carriers are engaged.
Yeah. Well, that's a different kind of voting. You know, you got block voting, everything. This election coming up is going to be won at the kitchen table. It's going to be won by that individual that gets the ballot at the kitchen table. Nobody's not block voting. And that's the reason I believe you're going to see a bigger outcome this year than at any time in our history. You're going to see more people out voting. And I say this with all confidence, you're going to see a mandate like nothing ever seen before for the CLC to get in there and make real change. I believe that it will be a landslide, and just by what they saw, what we saw, what we know going, across the country. But this vote's going to be won at the kitchen table, and it's a different kind of voting, because you got block voting, like you said, different stuff like that. And congratulations to those that won. I'm sure they'll do a fantastic job. But I think that this is it's a different election, brother. And the rank and file has stood up, and you had thousands of people coming up talking about, hey, my branch, we're a smaller branch, and the podcast has helped us so much. Y'all definitely got our vote, the whole branch, and the bigger branches are now coming on board and more. And so, you have them out there. Like Blue wants real change. I'm a city letter carrier. Like I
Well,
said earlier, I'm going to deliver tomorrow. I
well,
want change
absolutely.
in my union.
Oh no, brother, absolutely. And the one thing is that I certainly don't take anything for granted, and we are praying that the rank and file do go out and make the difference in this vote, and go out and actually vote, and get everyone that they know to vote. So, as we often say, we're going to run all the way through the tape. We're not going to take
Yeah.
anything for granted. It would be nice if it's a landslide, but ultimately all we need to do is get one more vote than everybody else. Yeah,
Well,
and the other good thing is that for the most part, almost every other position is a one-on-one, except for the presidential
yeah,
race. And
yeah,
so we feel good. I'd rather be where we are than not, but
yeah,
we cannot have our people rest on their laurels and say, hey, well, they feel pretty good, they feel confident. No, make sure that we all get across the line, because when I say we, that means if we win, letter carriers win. We have said for 2 years that this is not about me, this is not about you, this is about we, us and the
yeah.
letter carriers. And brother, we're not new to this. We're true to this. We're not the
Right.
ones that have assembled and come in within the last 2 or 3 weeks into this race. We put our heart and soul into this race. We put our hard earned monies and time into this race, self sacrifice over and over and over and over again. I mean, to the point where we've even uh, theoretically, like I say, go to the blood bank. I mean, we're giving blood to this campaign, and it really though requires it. And in actuality, no matter where, um, no matter what political affiliation you have, but I think it sums it up when it was said before, one of the previous presidents that was fighting for the soul of America. Brother, I genuinely believe that we're fighting for the soul of this NELC. We
Yeah.
are really fighting for the soul of the NELC. What is most important, the very essence of what this union is supposed to be about. And it begins and ends with the letter carriers, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had this written down because from the very beginning, when I started this podcast, I would always say that it doesn't matter who you are. This is a union. Whatever religion you are, you're accepted here. Whatever sex you are, you're accepted. Race you are, you're accepted here. Whoever you choose to love, you're accepted here. Whatever you identify as, you're accepted here. Whatever political party, you are accepted here.
Whatever
And
your social status is, you don't have
yeah,
to have a doctorate degree to be
yeah,
accepted. You don't have to have some type of country club status or letters of recommendation. You don't have to have a high school diploma. If you come in and you are a hard worker, as carriers are just by virtue of our jobs, and you are a union brother, whether you're a union brother or sister, one day or 50 years, once you in, you in.
yeah,
You are our brother. It's like family. You don't
yeah,
get to tell the sister-in-law or the brother-in-law that you don't get to speak because you only been in this family, 5 years. Once you in, you in you
yeah.
know, and that's
Well,
how we feel about this letter carriers.
yeah. You have, and we'll talk about this, but the second the bell rang for the convention to be over, here they come. They're coming after us, man. They were waiting, brother.
Yeah.
Facebook was on fire, man. These people coming after us, and we knew that. We knew that they had long written things on Facebook about how bad we are and how much we suck. One individual, poor girl, she was all over us, man. And at the end of it said, and here's a bunch of rumors about them.
And I was
Rumor, rumor.
and this is union person, and here's a bunch of rumors about
I was
him.
like, exactly. What union person worth the salt of their bread is going to rely on rumors, right? But
Yeah,
let me tell you this here: what we rely upon is factual situations, and we don't engage in mustang. And it's really amazing to me how uh, it was anticipated, and we try and get goaded into that world, into mudslinging. Now, there are times where you have to factually correct something, but
yeah,
we have not, as a slate, been engaging into, um, you know, personal attacks on people. And it really amazes me how folks used to always, al- always would, I would get calls almost nonstop sometimes about, you know, Corey is offensive to this and that. Or somebody online said something that was the CLC. I said, was it someone on the CLC slate? No, but it's one of your people. So it's a supporter. They're entitled to say whatever they want to. But there are individuals that's constantly attacking, making personal attacks on CLC slate members and CLC supporters, and the very individuals that were always complaining about you or other supporters don't say anything about their people engaging in that kind of behavior. But it does not matter, because this is what I believe: it's that the cake is baked at this point. Who's going to vote for the CLC is going to vote for the CLC. Who's going to vote for the opposition is going to vote for them. And it's not hardly anything that you can say or do that's going to change anybody's mind at this stage of the game. The cake is
yeah,
baked, brother.
yeah,
And as such, what we are about and will continue to be about is what is best for the letter carriers. How are the letter carriers' lives improved? And let me borrow a pretty famous term. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
yeah,
Hey, that's what the question that needs to be asked. The most of the letter carriers, those that are on the opposition, that were in a position to make a difference. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And like I said, and the definition of insanity is doing the same old thing and expecting a different result. We are the only ones that are a true reform slate. Is that not true to you?
yes,
Explain
yeah.
to me why you think we're the only one that's a true reform. I know you know, but let the church hear it.
Well, that's one of the things that sold me on you. And when you became the choice of the CLC, is you said we're going to be a reform slate. We're going to clean house from those that have gotten complacent. Just like the ones that have violated the Constitution, I was shocked to see them actually put on a slate, because that is exactly what we've been talking about. You got to rid yourself of those who have forgotten where they come from. You've got table two carriers on your slate. That's a reform slate. Nobody else does. Now, we were waiting to see, surprises can happen at nomination. We heard there was another potential person going to run for president. You don't know if there is going to be an entirely new reform slate, because that's what the carriers have been calling for. But it ended up that we are the only reform slate. You've talked about we're going to make changes nationally as far as the culture, how we're going to do things. The carriers will be put first. That's in everything that we do. If your responsibility is to watch out financially about what's going on with our union and you did not do so, then you have failed us. And those things are what we've targeted is, have you been doing your job? If not, like I've always said, you need to lose your job. And that's what we're in the process of doing. To me, that's the reform slate, is that we're fixing to put the city letter carrier back first. We will unite this union. That's not an issue to me. I'm not worried about that in the least bit. When you look back and it says we are better together, that lasted 5 minutes. And it was, it
Yeah,
was,
stronger together. Like I
it
said,
was, it was
but
on, son.
but those that are saying that, at least in my view, the comments and the statements they make isn't consistent with the actions that they take. You know, no matter what it is that we've done to be fair and equitable in good faith in our dealings with folks during the course of this campaign, it just seemed to have not made a difference to anyone. But because we don't care about what they're doing, because you know why? Because it has no bearing on the letter carriers. They're not making the letter carriers' life no better by engaging in that kind of nonsense. We're going to stay focused on improving the lives of the letter carriers. That's what we're laser focused on. So
Yeah.
they can try and goad us into whatever, and if they're listening, understand that. Say what you will. We have a record, and conversely, you have a record. You
Yeah.
know, you can say whatever you want to say. Our record detracts from that, and we are focused on making letter carrier lives better. Period.
Yeah.
We ain't out there trying to tear nobody down. We're not trying to dim nobody else's light to make ours shine brighter. Because the reality of it is that a good deal of those individuals, a good deal of them, even the supporters that's constantly talking, a lot of yin yang, we're all about the CLC at some point in time. Really were. And it really blows my mind how soon we forget. There are several of them that over there, that some of those supporters that are endorsers of the CLC, but it does not matter. Like I said, we're staying focused on making the lives of the letter carriers better, period. And
Yeah.
like I said,
And
but if
that's
you're going
what,
to say things that are untrue, we'll tell the facts.
yeah.
Well, now the other side or whoever's listening, they can accept them or reject them. But there are things that are being said that are not factually correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I know you wanted to stay away from that, but I did think it was funny because a couple of them were endorsers, like you said. They were all about it. Everywhere you went, they were attached at your hip. Uh, they've called me hundreds of times seeking help for things. I've helped them every time they've called. I've done training at their branch. They would send me newsletters calling me the podcast deity because that's one of the DRT members. And now here it is. We're the worst human beings ever, and we have no business even running. And putting out rumors saying that you're going to retire 6 months into your first term. And
okay. So let me address that because that's again one of those things that absolutely is not factual. Do you think that you and I would have spent tens of thousands of dollars over the last couple of years of our own personal money, not donations from anyone, our own personal income? And would we have put ourselves through the rigmarole, the exhaustion of traveling, but moreover, the criticisms and discrediting of everything that you worked for just to throw your hands up in a matter of a few months? We are in this, I'm in this here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to help the letter carriers. And so, therefore, let me say unequivocally to anyone that is listening, we win. I am not retiring 3 months into the campaign, 6 months, a year, 3 years. It will be a minimum of a full term. Period. Full
yeah,
stop.
yeah,
Unequivocal. So take those rumors and just throw them out the windows because that's what they are. And any responsible person wouldn't even listen to rumors anyway. So no, that's one thing that factually that we needed to correct.
the other one is that when we get in there, we're going to fire the entire staff.
Well,
Like
let me
what?
square that away.
How,
No, we are not firing the entire staff. What we've consistently said, though, is that once we get in there, we will assess everything from top to bottom. I mean, currently, right now, we have been spending more money than what we have. So there's got to be some tightening some belt. That is absolutely just like that report that was done. They said the first time in the history of the NLC was members who went down and looked at the books. Those were members that are running on the CLC slate that found that there was that had not the monies from the service allowance been moved over, that we would have been perhaps in debt $27 million, or the books wouldn't have been squared to the point because the dues amounts were not and is not currently covering what our expenses are. So, no, but anyone that's doing a job and that is aligned with our mission, fret not. But if you are not aligned with our mission, not doing your job, then someone that is willing and will be filling a position or will not exist anymore.
Yeah.
I'm one that don't believe, or one that do believe, that you don't need two different people. You'll need one person to put the paper in the trash and a separate person to dump the trash. The same person that put the paper in the trash can dump it. So, there's a lot of things that we're going to be looking at, but there will be no wholesale firing. Let me tell you that. That's from me, who is a potential president of this union. And so the bucks will stop with me. So, no, you ain't got to worry about that.
And those are rumors being passed around up there trying to scare people. And
Oh, you want
I
to
don't know
scare them.
I don't know why you would do that. And then they said that we were firing all the arbitration advocates. And I know it's like, well, who's going to do arbitrations if we do that? I mean, James, it's going to get worse. I mean, it will get, because to me, when you know you've lost, you resort to rumors. If you feel
Yeah.
comfortable in your position, just talk about your position. If you feel
Yeah,
comfortable,
man.
if you feel comfortable where you are, just talk about what your slate's going to do.
Man.
What's your plan? But when you start saying, here's a bunch of rumors, you've already lost. And so it's a good position for us. I know that it's frustrating to a lot of people. And I'll say this, and I said this before the convention. You're going to act like you got class when you go to the convention. I know there's a lot of stuff about a lot of people putting up, it was only the CLC people that were going at people. And I know that not to be true, but it's just another thing put out after the convention to make us look bad. And I told everybody, this is not a place to act a fool. I'm going to say it
No.
now. Until this election is over with, anybody who supports the CLC, don't do that. Don't get online and start saying things, rumors. I don't want to win one vote based off of a rumor. Let them
Correct.
on the other side do that. We're going based off of our record. I've been talking to the city letter carrier every week for 5 years. That's on my record. That's something that I've done. And so I'll put that up against anybody. The education that we've done, that's on my record. And I don't want to win one vote based off of a rumor. There are those that do. I don't want to win one vote saying that, hey, Corey, he doesn't do this or doesn't do that. He doesn't vote like I do or whatever. I don't want to win one vote like that, because at my table will be everybody.
Absolutely.
With
Only thing
with
that matters is a letter carrier. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is, doesn't matter what your religion is, matters not what your ethnicity is, matter not what your gender is. What matters is if you are our brother and sister in this union. That's
Yeah,
what matters. And one thing that I will pledge that should be known, that those sayings, that things that are known need not be explained. But I think in this instance, it needs to be explained that our personal views, our personal life will have no bearing on carrying out the business of this union. We're going to do what is in the best interest of this union. Example, you always talk about integrity that I have, and I'm not the only one on this slate with integrity. Everybody I know just does. But here's the deal: at the convention, there were some charges that were brought up, and we it was criticism about standing against the executive council recommendation. How myself and Chris Jackson stood against the recommendation of the council when it relates to these, certain things. But here's the deal: is that when those charges came up at the executive council a year ago or so, is that at that time I said I didn't even know this individual, but I stood on what I knew was right, that there is no justification for not following the Constitution and not appointing an investigator. And I voted then that there should have been an investigator appointed and let them make a ruling. I mean, render a report, and then the executive council render a verdict of whether substantial or not substantial, right? And since then, though, the individual that was impacted by those things were constantly, and their supporters, and whipped up a frenzy of attacking the CLC consistently about what they felt should be. Some people that are supporters of the CLC should be checked by the CLC. Well, the reality, not someone that's on a slate, but someone that's a supporter. But the reality of it is even being criticized over and over and over again unjustly. This week, I and Chris still stood up in opposition to the executive council, not because it was the establishment. It was no anti-establishment. It was more of a pro-right. What is right to do? What is the Constitution? So my integrity required that I vote based on what I know is right, not based on how somebody treated me. And so we will always execute our duties fairly. And I say that because even when they talk that smack about you, about whether or not, whatever your political affiliation, it doesn't matter. I am fully confident that you will always execute your duties based on what is right for the letter carriers, period, full stop.
Yeah.
And everyone on the slate.
Well, what we're gonna do, what we're planning on doing with the workroom floor, I need 100% of the letter carriers bought in. I don't need half of them.
Yes.
I don't need half the carriers bought in. Everybody needs to understand that this is a new day. You have a seat. I don't care, like we said, what all those things are. If you're a fighter, I want you at the table. We're going to need every city letter carrier in the country to help with what we're planning on doing with the workroom floor, the toxic working environment, education, and stuff like that. I'm not going to ostracize, and I've said this numerous times, and people hate it. I'm not ostracizing half our membership because they don't think like me, or look like me, or worship like me, or vote like me. I think that's idiotic. And it's times of the past. It's a new day for the NELC. Everybody's welcome here. And you will have those coming after me. This poor guy. I feel sorry for my man. He's gone back on my Facebook for 20 years picking out things. I'm like, brother, you ain't gonna find nothing. I'm
brother,
as simple as it gets, my man. I'm a simple man. And so
yeah, man, like I said, human nature would have dictated that myself and Chris would have voted a different way. But again, like yourself, we're people of principle. We stand 10 toes down on what we believe in. And like I told the individual and some other, that I'm going to defend letter carriers. I'm going to defend what's right. It don't matter how you treat me. That ain't no different than, you've been to arbitration. I've been to arbitration before where I've had a non-union member and I gave them the same vigor and enthusiasm in presenting their case and prepping their case as I would a 30-year union member, because it's my duty. Because it's my duty.
Well, I've never gone into an arbitration and asked anybody what their religion is.
Right.
Or how did you vote? Or, who are you married to? Well, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to find somebody else, because that's not what a union is. And this poor guy, I feel for him. He's heartbroken that we're going to win this thing. And he's saying that Corey is a scab. I'm like, I've been paying dues for 26 years now. my man is desperate, son. The poor guy, he's gonna have a heart attack when we win.
That's like people that go, that you said you worked in the jail before. Now, there's a lot of people make mistakes for one reason or another, or get caught up, get falsely accused. Now, just think if everyone that went to jail, the whole point was to redeem and to rehabilitate. And once they get out, they should have a fair shot at rebuilding their lives and moving forward to being a productive member of society. It doesn't matter, like I said, whether or not someone was a prior non-member. Once you are a member, you're entitled to every rights and privileges as everyone else, and should get the same amount of love. And and the thing is, brother, you know, you talk about these rumors and all this other stuff, and you have folks that are said making personal attacks. We have a member of our slate that is the first female national officer or on a national ticket in the NLC history, and ends up getting personally attacked, right?
Yeah.
Which was in my view abhorrent. But even with that being said, this is not consistent with Stronger Together whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you have these people that have this self-righteousness that talks about uh, one of our other members or supporters about saying something, and that saying that something is just not consistent with good treatment and whatever. Here's the deal: we're going to do, like I said, without belaboring the point, what is in the best interest, and we're going to stay focused on progressing and improving the lives of letter carriers. But these individuals that's supporting, I want to factually correct something else as well. There's this group of individuals that are upset that we filled our slate pretty much so fully, and that we have a candidate running for Region 9 NBA. And the reality of it is here, and they said, well, they said that they would never run anybody against Eddie Davidson. Well, we didn't run anybody against Eddie Davidson. Up until Eddie Davidson announced that he was running for president, which he had stated that he would not run for president, nor was running for president. And I've asked him personally multiple times. Up until that moment, he had just stated 2 days before in Orlando that he wasn't running for president, that he was running for National Business Agent Region 9. Then he comes out and he says he's running for president, even though he had said to my face that he wasn't running for president. So he runs and he's challenging, I guess at the time it would be me and the other individual for the position. That's his right. Nobody begrudged him of that, but it just wasn't consistent with what he said. However, at that point, they put up that Ali, the RA down there, was running as the NBA. And so at that point, since there he had a full slate, we decided to fill our slate because there were several other individuals on that slate that I had committed that I would not field an individual against them because of their work and their record. I felt that they, that we would be okay with them going forward. However, without notification or anything, they decided they fill their slate. And so when it came to Eddie running as president, and they said Ali was going to be running as the NBA, we put up another individual, Caroline Jones. Well, thereafter, due to personal reasons, Eddie decided to withdraw from the presidency race and run as the NBA again. I don't know how that went down with him and Ali. That's their thing. But just because Eddie withdrew from the presidential race and we had already filled the NBA position or candidacy in our slate, we wasn't going to tell her now that she can't run because they decided to change players. Well, they're doing it. So it is completely false of these individuals, people that's on his staff, that's out there spreading misinformation uh, people that support him spreading misinformation, trying to make it seem as if the CLC was untruthful and went back on our word. We kept our word. It was the other way around that did not honor what they said. So let's make sure that, again, factually, the timeline that went down, we were not and did not field a candidate for NDA for Region 9 until Eddie vacated that position by declaring his candidacy for president. Once he declared his candidacy for president, then we put up somebody to run against the RAA. Then he came back. And because he changed his mind, we weren't going to change ours at that point. So we did not breach the understanding. It was Eddie and the others that breached the understanding.
Well, brother, there'll be a lot more attacks. This is how it's going to be. But I implore those that support the CLC to stay out of it.
I agree.
Don't put up Facebook profile pictures with the other party with a little line through it. Don't do that. We're going to run on our record. We're going to run on our record. We're going to keep going places. We're going to run through this tape. But you talk about wanting to unite and end all the division. We're going to do everything humanly possible to do that. And so I am anti-establishment, though. So yes, I was highly upset for several years about what was going on with my union, and because of that, I've been labeled this and that. I don't care. I'm going to put the city letter carrier first. Now, when we win, if we run again, when we win that, I'll put the city letter carrier first. And so there are those that put the establishment first, and that's fine. But I'm not going to do that. But we're going to Branch 1100 Tuesday. That's your
Yes, sir.
hometown. That's your people.
That's my home branch. Looking forward to seeing my people. Saw several of them at the convention, and we're looking forward to going there and addressing our folks and having a good reception.
Yeah. So I ask everybody, Branch 1100, make sure you come out and see us. There'll be several people there, so they'll put on a show Tuesday. That'll be a good
Yes,
group. And
similarly to like it was at Branch 24 on this past Saturday night, we had a fantastic showing with lots of support, lots of engagement, and we were pleased with the reception that we got at Branch 24. So thank Larry Brown, Anita, and the entire officers and members of Branch 24 this past Saturday when we were there speaking. It was a fantastic time.
Yep. And then we're going Wednesday, right down the road.
Yeah. So we look forward to going everywhere. Yeah, we'll go in the evening to San Francisco and come on back. We can get up there in about a 45-minute flight and come home back. But yeah, we're looking forward to over the branch 214. And so it is one of these things, man. You've been hearing me say it lately, all gas, no brakes, brother. We got plenty of places like this coming weekend. We're going to be Saturday and Sunday. We're completely booked. We're going to be out in Richland, Washington. And then on Sunday, going to be in Everett, Washington, which is supposedly near Seattle. And it doesn't matter. In the following weekend, I think we're in Missoula, Montana. And then the following weekend after that, we're in Minneapolis, in St. Paul for that. Then we go to Joliet, Illinois. And, then we go over to Oakland on the 13th of September. Then we are where else? Then we're in Indianapolis. On the 20th. We are, brother. we are busier than a one-legged man in the butt kicking contest. But like I said, I'd rather be in this position than not, because the hallmark, as I often say here, that when you truly care is your capacity and willing to sacrifice. And we have been given all there is. Like I said, we could fill a couple of blood banks, as much blood that we've given to this man. The reality of it is, though, is that is what it requires. And we're trying to reach every single letter carrier. Our appeal is to the rank and file, and we want the rank and file to be mobilized. We want them to be activated and understand that they can talk to us. And one of the reasons that we talk to each person as much as, and no matter, let nobody tell you, like I said here, you can love this union and reform it at the same time. We're not divisive whatsoever. Let us make it clear again that this is not a separate attempt to have a different or co-joining union. We are nothing but the NLC through and through. This is just the name of our slate. And we're doing everything that we can between here and the election to meet as many letter carriers as we can and to be able to continue to get our message out to all letter carriers, both retiree and active letter carriers. So it is, like I said, all gas, no brakes, brother.
Yeah. Well, it's time to, we got the nominations. It's time to unify this place, unify this union. You know, you see people talking about us. Don't worry about that. Just tell them you love them. You know, I mean, it is what it is. There are a lot of people going to continue to come out after us. Just tell them that you love them and you're praying for them. Because
What does the Bible say in Beatitudes? Love those who despitefully misuse you. And, you know, blessed are the peacemakers.
Yeah. Well, we set out to do certain things. You know, we thought that Renfro and Barner were not doing their job and they're not running. Now we're going to reform this union, and that will be next. And so,
Right.
but we're going to
And that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, we're going to unify light blue. That's where we are right now. You have those that, like I said, they were waiting for the convention to be over with, and it was Katie bar the door with everything. But we're gonna get out the vote and unify this union, and because we're going to need every single member on board to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So, anything else you want to say, Holmes, before we get off of here?
No, just let the carriers know, and everyone that is listening to us, that it is that we truly love you, truly do. We care. And like I said, and we're going to stay focused. We're not going to allow anyone to distract us from our mission. And that is, again, to improve the lives of the letter carriers, to make sure that we can somehow achieve a living wage for each one of you, achieve a harmonious working environment, and allow you to get from hire date to retirement date. And again, to make sure that management know that they need to put some respect on our name. That's where we are, and that's where we need to be in terms of our moving forward collectively, because it's about us, the letter carriers, this union. And we are exceedingly proud to be doing this. And as I said, we're not new to this. You and I and the CLC, we're true to this. Everybody that's paid half of attention know what our platform is, know what we're all about. There's nothing new here. It's just a matter of subscribing to what it is that you believe in, and that's what we are placing out there and standing on. If you align with that, then make sure that you vote for us. Make sure that if you have not yet, go to concernlettercarriers.com, endorse and support us. Join all of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, TikTok, YouTube. We have all of that, so you can be able to follow along with us and be able to stay in the know what's going on. And if you're so inclined to donate to us, we would love for you to do that so we can get a full mailing out to every single individual. So you can do all that on concernlettercarriers.com. Like I said, I am just exceedingly proud of my team, and there's nobody, brother, nobody, nobody that I would rather be running with in this race than with you by my side and the rest of the CLC candidates out there, Kamitra and Dan. And we want to give a huge shout out and blessing for full and speedy recovery to my boy Dave Grosskopf. During the convention, he ended up getting placed into the hospital on emergency. He's the president out of Buffalo, New York, Branch 3, and he's running on the CLC slate as a trustee. But my man is a bull, full. I mean, he is a union activist. He is a man's man. He's a leader's leader, and we just want him to know that we are looking out for him, praying for him, and know that we love him and his branch, and anything that we can do, we will do. So we want to give a shout out to Dave Grosskopf.
Yeah, and you're right. I've always said, James, that dude could be put in any position and succeed.
Yes.
I mean, he's that talented, that aggressive. When you look at what you want in a union person, is David Grosskopf, and I think he'd been an exceptional executive vice president with you. Whatever position, he would have been absolutely fantastic. But to show you what the man's all about, he said, I'm not going to leave my branch. I'm going to stay with my people down here. Trustee's a good spot for me so I can overlook, make sure to hold y'all accountable. But that shows you who he is, man, because he could have very easily been right there beside you. But
And
anyway,
I want to say to the team as well, is that I'm reminded of this saying, and also in the Bible, that the race is not given to the swift, nor to the strong, but to he that endures to the end. And that's all we just need to do. What you say, run through the tape, brother.
that's it. Well, my man, I'll see you Tuesday. Branch
Absolutely.
1100.
Look forward to it, my brother.
All right, buddy. Love you, James. I'll see you later, man.
All right, be blessed.
All right, bye.